नंद गोदन रखवाला नंद गोदन रखवाला यशोमती नंदन ब्रजबरो नागरा गोकुल रंजन काना गोविंद माधव नवनीत तस्करा गोविंद माधव नवनीत तस्करा सुंदर नंद गोपाला सुंदर नंद गोपाला यामुना ततचरा गोपी बसन हर रास रसिक कृपा मोया यामुना ततचरा गोपी बसन हर रास रसिक कृपा मोया श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटवरा श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटवरा भक्ति विनोदाश्रय भक्ति विनोदाश्रय यशोमती नंदन ब्रजबरो नागरा गोकुल रंजन काना गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहरा गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहरा श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटवरा श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटवरा भक्ति विनोदाश्रय भक्ति विनोदाश्रय हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा दामोदर श्री राधे जय राधा कलचंदी श्री राधे जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय राधा गोविंद श्री राधे Nitai Gaura Premanande.
This divine loving grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna. That's a nice. I've sent HK. Better than that. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the daily morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Radha Kalachanjiram. We're celebrating Govardhan Puja again today. Haribol. No fasting, only feasting twice. You can take that. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्री श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll do the prayers together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravarni Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Okay, we are continuing with the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25. The chapter's name is? What's the name of the chapter? The Glories of Devotional Service. We're going to start from text 28 today and go all the way through text 37. And our focus verse for today is text 36. Okay, can somebody start off with the translation for 28, please?
On hearing this statement of the Lord, Devahuti inquired, "What kind of devotional service is worth developing and practicing to help me easily and immediately attain the service of your lotus feet?"
Yeah, what was the statement that he made? Yeah, Satam Prasangam Mama Virya Samvidav. It's a very famous verse, 3:25-25. Bhavanti Hrit Karna Rasayana Kata Tad Joshana Dash Apavargavatmani Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishiti. He's basically said, if you're going to hear the pastimes of the Lord in the association of devotees, it's very pleasing to the heart. And then what happens as a result of that is that gradually you get out of this material world, Apavargavatmani. And how is that step done? Shraddha, Ratir, Bhakti. Basically, he goes through the 9 processes very rapidly. Starts from faith, then directly goes to Rati, which is attachment, and then Prema, like that. So that's what he has said. And then Mother Devahuti, she now has a question to him on what kind of devotional service is worth developing. This is her question. And she has a very specific constraint on the question that she's asking. She's asking 2 things, right? What is worth developing and practicing to help me easily and immediately attain the service of your lotus feet? These are the 2 specific things that she's asking. So does anybody want to easily attain the lotus feet of the Lord? and immediately attain the lotus feet of the Lord? I want to do it. Things seem very hard otherwise. So these are the answers that Kapila Dev is going to give if you want to easily and immediately attain the lotus feet of the Lord. So text 29, please.
The mystic yoga system, as you have explained, aims at the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is meant for completely ending material existence. Please let me know the nature of that yoga system. How many ways are there by which one can understand in truth that sublime yoga?
My dear Shankapila, after all, I'm a woman. It is very difficult for me to understand the absolute truth because my intelligence is not very great. But if you will kindly explain it to me, even though I'm not very intelligent, I can understand it and thereby feel transcendental happiness.
Although this is not our focus verse, I would like to read the purport for this verse. Okay, before we even go to the purport, don't click on the purport yet. What is your plain vanilla understanding of what she's saying? I'm putting you in the spot, huh? I was in the spot.
You're not in the spot.
So that's the plain vanilla understanding you see. So that the people of Kali Yuga is very difficult. They're not very intelligent, therefore. Okay.
I mean, the idea is to attain something so high, one has to take a very, very low position.
Yes.
Otherwise, mercy flows to the lowest level.
Exactly. This is exactly the point. So everything that she says is a fact, right? Devahuti is a woman. And she herself is saying, I'm less intelligent. So does that mean we can take it and weaponize it? This is called academic dishonesty. When you take something and weaponize it against another person, it's very academically dishonest. But was she, from the context of what we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, was she a less intelligent person? No. How does the Bhagavatam describe Devahuti as? Sadhvi, not just a sadhvi, she was a very, very exalted yogini. That's how it describes Devahuti. So she was not for you to perfect the yoga system of Ashtanga yoga system, you cannot be a less intelligent person. You have to be pretty advanced for you to be a yogini who was equal in stature, right? That was the criteria for her to marry Kardama Muni. The three things that she says, right? She wanted to be equal in age, similar in age, equal in quality, character, and then what's the other thing? I forget what's the other thing. But three very important things that she says, and we know who Kardama Muni was. And she was no less than him in any of the three categories that Srimad Bhagavatam describes. But the way we understand this is she is really taking a position of humility here. That is the right way to understand this in the context of who Devahuti is, what she is saying. But without us taking this position of humility, there is no way that you're going to gain the kind of knowledge that Devahuti is asking Kapila Dev for. She's asking for something that's very easy and immediate to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. The first characteristic that we have to develop for us to easily get it and quickly or immediately get it is we have to take a humble position. Without us taking this humble position, there is no way that we're going to get this knowledge. Like Rasaraj Prabhu was saying, mercy flows from a higher position to a lower position. If you already think, oh, I am such a great person, there is no way that mercy is going to flow. So this is exactly what Devahuti is demonstrating here. And let's read Prabhupada's purport, what he's saying, which is another version of what Nitai Korana Prabhu was saying. Can we read Prabhupada's purport? Yes, please.
Knowledge of the absolute truth is not very easily understood by ordinary, less intelligent men. But if the spiritual master is kind enough to the disciple, however unintelligent the disciple may be, then by the divine grace of the spiritual master, everything is revealed.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur therefore says, Yasya prasadat, by the mercy of the spiritual master, the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavad Prasadaha is revealed. Devahuti requested her great son to be merciful towards her because she was a less intelligent woman and also his mother. By the grace of Kapil Dev, it was quite possible for her to understand the absolute truth, even though the subject matter is very difficult for ordinary persons, especially women. Yeah. So this is the point that Srila Prabhupada is making, is that in general, the subject matter in itself is a very difficult subject matter for everybody. So the only way we can understand anything is by the mercy of the spiritual master. There is no other way. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. Prabhupada is quoting. Yasya prasadan na gati gutopi. There is no other way, no chance that without the mercy of the spiritual master that we are able to obtain the mercy of Krishna. So in order for us to obtain that mercy of the spiritual master, we have to take a humble position. And it doesn't matter at that point if the mercy of the spiritual master is there. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langayati girim, yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dhinatharinam. Right? So that a dumb man can eloquently speak, right? A lame man can climb mountains. But it all happens, yat kripa tamaham vande. Only by the mercy of the spiritual master can anything happen. Right? So this is the position that Devahuti is taking. That she's, although Kapila Dev is her own son. And another thing Prabhupada mentioned, this is an amazing chapter because this is one of the chapters in which Prabhupada has given classes on almost every single verse. Except for 2 verses, there are 44 verses in this chapter. Prabhupada has given 42 classes on every single verse. And Prabhupada goes on to say in one of the lectures that I was hearing, is that Devahuti was no ordinary woman, for all the reasons that we have spoken. But there is one another incredible reason for why she is not an ordinary woman. Can you say why? Can you think of why, other than all the reasons that we have spoken of? Yeah, she was the mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, right? It is no easy feat for you to be the mother of the Supreme Person himself. So she was no ordinary person in the context, right? This is how we read it. Srimad Bhagavatam has to be understood in the context of what it is speaking. But also in the larger sense, Prabhupada is making a point that it is difficult for women to understand this also, in general. Why is that the case? Is because of the very nature of how women are, right? They have a very different kind of intelligence. Especially, I know many women in my life who are much more intelligent than me. But their intelligence is in a different way, and my intelligence is in a different way. After getting married, I knew how important the intelligence of a woman is. So for a man, it's very hard to read the room. We're just thinking, oh, what we're saying is absolutely fine, we're just speaking straight, and everybody can understand it, right? But my wife would say, hey, what you're saying is not actually pleasing people. She'll come back later and say, women can read the room instantly. They can figure out what people are thinking, what they're doing. They can figure out people in general, right? That's where their intelligence is incredible in, whereas men's intelligence is in a very analytical, structured way, whereas men don't have such an intelligence. So each of us have very different kind of intelligence, both men and women. But what Prabhupada is speaking here is a very specific kind of intelligence that women generally don't have. It's not there are of course exceptions, and the kind of subject matter that Kapila Dev is speaking here is to a woman. And Sankhya philosophy is considered one of the most difficult philosophies to comprehend, and he is speaking it to a woman here, right? Yes, Nitai Karuna Prabhu. Do you want to take the mic, please?
Just a point. It's not just for women. This subject matter is difficult to understand for very intellect person also.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning right in the beginning, right? The first word that he uses is less intelligent men. So, my spiritual master says, when women read Prabhupada's books, they say Prabhupada is going after them. He's saying less intelligent women. But then he says when a sannyasi reads Prabhupada's books, he thinks Prabhupada is going after the sannyasi because he's calling out after so many bogus gurus and so many kinds of enjoyment that the renunciate takes and so many things like that. Prabhupada, he was saying, was an equal opportunity chastiser. Yes, Prabhu.
Just so I can kind of get a full understanding, and so that I can also, if people have a similar doubt in seeing verses like these, I can understand it. We're saying that when we talk about the intelligence, is that there are two, it's like different intelligence,
Correct.
not like less or
Yes.
higher or anything
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
But specifically in this, we're saying understanding of the absolute truth.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of trying to understand, because we're talking about, oh, men have analytical minds,
Correct.
but even that, it doesn't transfer to spiritual subjects,
Correct.
in my opinion. I don't think we understand spiritual life simply by analysis, but we understand through Vigyan.
Correct.
So,
That's very true, and you see that demonstrated in the case of the Dvija Patnis, right? Although men might have that very typical analytical knowledge of doing things perfectly or doing the yajna amazingly well, but then the Vigyan is very important. But what in the context of what we are reading, it is the very inclination to go after that athato brahma jignasa aspect. That's what we are talking about. Whereas women are very simple-hearted, right? It's very easy for them to surrender. That's why for women to do bhakti is much more easier than men to do bhakti, because the very nature of surrender is there in women, because their hearts are softer. But men have this specific kind of intelligence where they can start going after this very systematic study of things, whereas that intelligence is a little bit difficult in women. That's what it means. It's a very different kind of intelligence, you see. But the thing with bhakti is it balances it out. So what we are speaking now is from ground zero. Right? All of us are trying for athato brahma jignasa, right? And the propensity for man to do it in the way that the Vedas are describing is more than what it is for the women, that kind of intelligence. But when it comes to bhakti, what Krishna says is Tesham evanukam partam aham ajnana jamtamaha nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhashvata. So, but when both of them start performing bhakti in that sense, then Krishna makes it a level playing field based on what kind of surrender that you have. And then from within, he clears that whatever misgivings that we might have. Just like Prabhupada is saying here, right? We might be however less intelligent that we are, right? We can be the most less intelligent of people in the world. But if we have the mercy of the spiritual master and the mercy of Krishna, then you can know everything. This is the exact point that Krishna makes in the Gita again, and again. Maya shaktamana partha yogam yunjam madashaya asamshayam shamagrama yatagyasya tachruno. He says, Bhakto sime sakacheti. I'm telling this to you, Arjuna, because you are my devotee and my friend. I'm telling this to you, Arjuna, because after hearing this, you won't need to do anything else. And then he's saying, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. I'm going to tell you something that's even more secretive, even more exalted, like that, no? So from the point of bhakti, this starts vanishing. But unfortunately, we are all conditioned in a certain way. We all have certain types of bodies. So if we know what kind of nature that we all have, it gets easier for us to practice our bhakti. You see, without avoiding the nature that we have, if we can embrace the nature that we have and start channeling that in certain ways to practice bhakti, then it becomes much more easier. That's what Srimad Bhagavatam is telling us. Srila Prabhupada says, Srimad Bhagavatam has every single psychological phenomenon that you can find in this world. Every single psychological phenomenon. So if you're really going after wealth, you're so short-tempered, you can see the story of Dhruva Maharaj. This was the person who wanted to be more richer, more wealthier than his great-grandfather. Right? If you're really proud of your position and you think you're the most supreme person, we have so many cases in Srimad Bhagavatam, Indra, for instance. If you're leading a very, very, very comfortable life and you think, oh, there are so many people looking up to me, you can have the case of Gajendra, where he was the king of the forest, everybody was looking up to him, and then still he was not the most supreme person. But what Srimad Bhagavatam gives us is that it gives so many different kinds of natures that is being exhibited in the pages of Bhagavatam, and all of us are born with certain natures and qualities. If we can identify what our nature is and then figure out, oh, I have this propensity, I better be careful because this can take me down this path, then Bhagavatam helps us a lot in the path of progress. And that is exactly how I think we should take, in my humble opinion, the situations that Bhagavatam has. Yes, Prabhu. We haven't even got to our verse yet. Okay, go ahead.
Acharya explained also in this verse, and Prabhupada also later clarified for this, like this is not applicable for the devotee,
Yes.
devotee women.
Yes.
So devotees, men or women.
Jai Shri
both-
Shri Radha Kalachan ji ki jai. Yes, bro.
Because they both, it is for the transcendental absolute truth, to knowing the transcendental absolute truth. So both are
Correct.
equal.
Correct.
And for that, both are less intelligent. Men also, because that is the, as Nitai Karna Prabhu said, like, Mandasu Mandamatya Mandabhagya.
Correct.
Second also, like Acharya explained, like, regarding women are to, like, in the terms of protection, knowledge is also related to the protection. They should be protected all the time, means by the father, by the husband, then by the son. And so who will be protected? They give the analogy, who will be protected? Suppose you have diamond, you have a stone in the, or garbage in the house, or you have diamond in the house, which you will protect?
Yeah, the diamond.
The diamond. So women are the diamond, they are getting protected. Protected means not in, they
Yeah,
are
this
under
is
the-
a
under
slightly
the
different context. Now we are
Yeah.
little diverging from what Prabhupada is saying.
both
Yeah, but we understand that this is the case. So, but anyway, I have to give a disclaimer here that I'm not expert on this subject. These are some of the things that I'm thinking, and my position is not that of an Uttamadhikari, so everything that's coming from my mouth is not the absolute truth. So please hear what I'm saying from that context. So anyway, let's go to text. I would love to have read all the verses, but we have 12 minutes. So let's go to text 36, which is our text for today, which actually gives the process for the question that Devahuti asked Kapila Dev. So please repeat. Tairdarshaniya vana Tairdarshaniya yavaver udhara Vilasa hashe kshitatvamasuktai Hritatmano hritaprananamscha bhaktir Anicchato me gatiman anvim prayunkte Tairdarshaniya vayaverudhara Vilasaha shekshita vamasukter Hritatmano hritaprananamscha bhakter Anicchato me gatin anvim prayunkte. Somebody want to chant? Tairdarshaniya vayaverudhara Vilasaha sekshita vamasukte Hitatmano hrita pranamscha bhaktir Anicchato me gatimanvim prayunkte. Matajis, somebody wants to chant? Don't be shy. Okay. We'll do the word-for-word translation for lack of time. Translation in purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tai, by those forms, darshaniya, charming, avayavai, whose limbs, udhara, exalted, vilasa, pastimes, hasa, smiling, Ikshita, glances. Vama, pleasing. Sukthe, whose delightful words. Shrita, captivated. Atmana, their minds. Shrita, captivated. Pranan, their senses. Cha, and. Bhakti, devotional service. Anichata, unwilling. Me, my. Gatim, abode. Anvem, subtle. Prayunkte, secures. Translation. Upon seeing the charming forms of the Lord, smiling and attractive, and hearing his very pleasing words, the pure devotee almost loses all other consciousness. His senses are freed from all other engagements, and he becomes absorbed in devotional service. Thus, in spite of his unwillingness, he attains liberation without separate endeavor. Okay. Can we read the purport? Jai Shri Srinatha Krishna ki. Who has the mic? Can you pass it? Or, yeah.
There are three divisions of devotees: first class, second class, and third class. Even the third class devotees are liberated souls. It is explained in this verse that although they do not have knowledge, simply by seeing the beautiful decoration of the deity in the temple, the devotees become absorbed in thought of him and lose all other consciousness. Simply by fixing oneself in Krishna consciousness, engaging the senses in the service of the Lord, one is imperceptibly liberated. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Simply by discharging uncontaminated devotional service as prescribed in the scriptures, one becomes equal to Brahman. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Brahma bhuvaya kalpate. This means that the living entity in his original state is Brahman because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Brahman. But simply because of his forgetfulness of his real nature as an eternal servitor of the Lord, he is overwhelmed and captured by Maya. His forgetfulness of his real constitutional position is Maya. Otherwise, he is eternally Brahman. Somebody else wants to read?
Yeah. So Prabhupada here speaks about the three classes of devotees. What are the three classes of devotees? Yeah, but of course he mentioned this. First class, second class, third class. But who is a first class devotee, who is a second class devotee, and who is a third class devotee? Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Kanishtadhikari. Kanishta means new, right? He's a neophyte devotee who's just beginning his practices of bhakti. Madhyamadhikari is somebody who's a little more advanced than the neophyte or the new bhakta, Kanishtadhikari. Of course, there are qualities for each of these kinds of devotees. And then Uttamadhikari is the topmost, pure devotee of the Lord that the verse is talking about. Okay, next paragraph.
When one is trained to become conscious of his position, he understands that he is the servitor of the Lord. Brahman refers to a state of self-realization. Even the third-class devotee, who is not advanced in knowledge of the absolute truth, but simply offers obeisances with great devotion, thinks of the Lord, sees the Lord in the temple, and brings forth flower and fruits to offer up to the deities, becomes imperceptibly liberated. Shraddha Yam Vitaha. With great devotion, the devotees offer worshipful respects and paraphernalia to the deity. The deities of Radha and Krishna, Lakshmi and Narayan, and Rama and Sita are very attractive to the devotees. So much so that when they see the statue decorated in the temple of the Lord, they become fully absorbed in thought of the Lord. That is a state of liberation. In other words, it is confirmed herewith that even a third-class devotee is in the transcendental position, above those who are trying for liberation by speculation or by other methods. Even great impersonalists like Sukadev Goswami and the four Kumaras were attracted by the beauty of the deities in the temple. By the decorations and by the aroma of tulsi offered to the Lord. And they became devotees even though they were in the liberated state. Instead of remaining impersonalists, they were attracted by the beauty of the Lord and became devotees.
Yeah. So Prabhupada is mentioning that first we are the Kanishta Adhikaris, we are neophyte devotees, right? But even in that stage, Prabhupada is saying we are imperceptibly liberated. Imperceptibly means we can't even imagine how this is happening, right? You cannot perceive it. And yet, even when you're beginning the practice of bhakti, when you're coming into the temple, bowing in front of the deities, offering them something, and then just taking their darshan, just looking at the deities and appreciating their beauty, just by doing that activity, Prabhupada says, you're imperceptibly liberated. But Prabhupada is also going through different grades of liberation in this verse, right? So our natural position, Prabhupada is saying, is that we are Brahman, right? We are not this matter that we think we are transcendental in nature. And one kind of realization is also the Brahman realization, where we are completely out of this misery of this material existence, but that's it. We try to merge with the Lord and things like that. But Prabhupada is giving this example of a specific set of devotees who were liberated, right? The 4 Kumaras were liberated devotees of the Lord. But yet, when they saw the form of the Lord, and especially this is described so beautifully in the Bhagavatam also, that when they saw the lotus feet of the Lord and the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord, especially mixed with the fragrance of tulsi leaves, entered their nostrils, something happened to them. These were incredible mystic yogis who didn't age above 5 years old. They didn't want to be agitated by any of these material desires. And yet, the fragrance, the aroma of the lotus feet of the Lord mixed with tulsi leaves completely changed their perception. So, okay, one level is that you're liberated. But that liberation is a lower kind of liberation, where, okay, you're liberated from all your material miseries. And this is what Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar of Devotion also, is that when you begin bhakti, 2 things happen. What are the 2 things that happens? Does anybody remember? Actually, he says 6 things about devotional service. 6 qualities that happen. Yes? Yes, your miseries get stopped. Kleshagni, yes. Yeah, Shubhada, so auspiciousness. So the first 2 things that happen immediately when you start bhakti is Kleshagni and Shubhada. All your kleshas, all your unwanted things are getting removed rapidly. And as a result of it, auspiciousness starts in our life. Because the Lord, we're associating with the Lord, everything becomes auspicious in our life. This is a very basic things that we do in bhakti, we start obtaining these. But just by coming to the temple and taking darshan of the deity, will all of this happen? Is this sustainable? Actually, no. There is another thing that's a necessary requirement. This is necessary but not sufficient, right? We should come to the deity, pay obeisances, take darshan of the deity, appreciate the deity. But unfortunately, that's not a sufficient condition for the requirements that Mother Devahuti had. Her requirements was easy and immediate, right? For you to do it immediately, there is one other thing that's required. That's said in the verse. Does anybody remember? What's the other thing that Kapila Dev said was? No. It's in the verse, directly in the verse. You can't scroll up, or scroll down. No. Let's read the next purport. Actually, we read the purport and hopefully it will dawn upon us. Prabhupada is mentioning the second aspect in the purport.
Here the word
Almost there.
vilas is very important. Vilas refers to the activities or pastimes of the Lord. It is a prescribed duty in temple worship that one should not only visit the temple to see the deity nicely decorated, but at the same time he should hear the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, or some similar literature, which is regularly recited in the temple. It is the system in Vrindavan that in every temple there is recitation of the Shastras. Even third-class devotees who have no literary knowledge or no time to read Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita get the opportunity to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. In this way, their minds may always remain absorbed in the thought of the Lord, His form, His activities, and His transcendental nature. This state of Krishna consciousness is a liberated stage. Lord Chaitanya therefore recommended 5 important processes in the discharge of devotional service. 1. To chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
2. To associate with devotees and serve them as far as possible. 3. To hear Srimad Bhagavatam. 4. To see the decorated temple and the deity, and if possible, 5. To live in the place like Vrindavan or Mathura. These 5 items alone can help a devotee achieve the highest perfectional stage. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, and here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That third-class devotees can also imperceptibly achieve liberation is accepted in all Vedic literature.
Yeah. So the second criteria is it's just not enough if we come to the deity and come to the temple and appreciate the deity. You also have to hear about the deity itself. And why is hearing so important? Is that so our absorption can continue, right? We come to the temple, take darshan of the deity. Oh, they're looking so nice, so wonderful. We appreciate the external aspects of the deity, and then we go. And that's it, it stops, right? But for us to remain absorbed in what we have done, Prabhupada says hearing is very important. Even if we cannot read, we have to come to the temple so that we can hear from sadhus. So Krishna says in the Gita that 4 kinds of people come to him, right? He says first 4 kinds of people do not approach him, but 4 kinds of people approach him. Who are the 4 kinds of people? Artho, Artharthi, Jnani, Jignasu, right? People who want wealth, people who are in distress, people who are looking after knowledge, and people who really want to know who Krishna is. And Prabhupada says something incredible in the purport to this verse. He says, why Krishna says this is very important, that although you have so much desires, that they come to the temple, and as a result of coming to the temple, something extraordinary happens to these people who are coming into the temple. What happens? They hear the Shastra from? Yeah. The most important thing that happens is they get the association of a pure devotee. That is why they can progress. Prabhupada says, even if you have so many desires, when you come to Krishna, to his temple, to ask those desires from him, then you automatically get purified. How? It doesn't happen as an automatic phenomenon. It happens because when you come to the temple, you are in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord. And when you're in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord, then your progress is assured. That's how it happens, Prabhupada says. But here, in this verse, Kapila Dev is saying something extraordinary, right? The first level is, oh Krishna, I want something, I want something, I want something, I come to Krishna. Okay, that we know is not proper. The second thing is liberation, right? Okay, I'm completely above these material sufferings that I'm going through. Okay, even above that is that you see the form of the Lord. You're able to actually realize Him as a person and then get liberated in that position, right? But Kapil Dev says, when somebody comes and takes darshan of the deity and then starts hearing about the Lord, His activities and pastimes, he becomes so absorbed in devotional service that in spite of his unwillingness, he attains liberation without separate endeavor. That a devotee is not really endeavoring for any of these things. And he is even unwilling. You know, this is what we sing every day in the evening, right? Varam deva moksham na moksha vadimva nachanyam vrineham varesha dapiha. Krishna, I really don't want any kind of liberation. This is the state of a pure devotee. And yet it is given to him. This is the Bilva Mangal Thakur, right? He says, Mukti and Bhukti are waiting at the doorstep and begging the devotee to take them. And yet the devotee is really unwilling. He said, no, I really don't want this, Krishna. You give me this, but still I don't want. And we see this in Prahlad Maharaj, right? When he is giving so much wonderful prayers, when he is offering these prayers to Nrsimhadev, he is very, very pleased. He's so pleased. And then he is giving all kinds of these benedictions to Prahlad Maharaj and says, Prahlad, what do you want? Tell me, I can give you anything. And then what is Prahlad Maharaj's reaction? Oh Lord, please don't think of me like that. Please don't think that I offered you prayers so that you can give me something. I really don't want anything. Even liberation, I really don't want anything. What I want is Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahai Tuki Tvai. Na Janam, na Dhanam, na Sundarim. This is the devotee. Right? He doesn't want wealth. He doesn't want women. This is understandable. But the devotee doesn't even want liberation. And he says, Mama Janmani Janmanishware. Life after life after life. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings. Janme Janme Dhav. Ohe Gaura Hari, Ahai Tuki Bhakti, Sharane Tomar, right? Life after life after life, oh Krishna, give me your devotional service at your lotus feet. This is what happens as a result of performing devotional service. When we can attain this platform of pure devotional service that Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, Bhaktir Uttama. And that is what we are given. And especially for us living in this Dham, the 5 things that Prabhupada says, right? Chanting, we can do. All of us have this opportunity to come and do it in the temple. Associating with devotees and serve them as far as possible. Before moving to Dallas, I knew none of my neighbors when I was in the US. But here, everywhere I turn around, it's just devotees. They're friends, they're amazing people. And then we get a chance to serve them. That's why we associate with the devotees, right? Prabhupada is adding that association means serve them as far as possible. And then to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, of course every day this happens in the temple. To see the Lord, to see the decorated temple and the deity, there's nothing more beautiful than Radha Kalachandji, especially Srimati Radharani here. I've never seen any deity more beautiful than our own Srimati Radharani here. So we get this opportunity every single day to come and do this. And of course, live in a place like Vrindavan or Mathura. Kalachandji Dham is no less, and because Kalachandji was personally present in Vrindavan, right, 500 years ago. They say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in front of Kalachandji. So the opportunity that we have here at Sri Radha Kalachandji Dham is extraordinary, where we can perform all 5 of these things every single day. It's been given to us on a platter. And then this is the solution, Prabhupada says, for us to easily and immediately attain the lotus feet of the Lord. So those are some of the thoughts. If you have any questions or comments or reflections, we can take it. But please do read the other verses also. They're very, very beautiful. Yes, Nitai Karuna Prabhu, can you please get the mic, or else people listening online won't be able to hear you. Click it once. You have to. Button, na? There is a button there. But it might be mute or it might turn off. Can you help him? Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the class. My question is, can you explain the realization of Char Kumaras, how it was different from Sukdev Muni? Because he was also not...
Yeah, it was the same. It was basically the same. Shukdev Goswami was also in that realization. He was the Brahman realization. He was thinking everything to be himself, right? And yet, when Vyasadev went and asked his disciples to describe the form of the Lord, right? This is the verse they say. 2 verses was described to Shukdev Goswami, who was completely liberated. He says, Barha Pitam Natavaravapu Karnayo Karnikaram Bibradvasha Kanaka Kapisham Vaijayantim Chamalam Randran Venu Radara Sudaya Purayan Gopa Vrinder Vrindaranyam Swapadaramanam Pravishad Gita Kirti. This is the gopis remembering Krishna, na? And they're saying how wonderful Krishna is and how he goes into Vrindavan. Barha Pidam, he has beautiful peacock feathers on his head. Natavaravapu, he has a wonderful gait, like dancing. Karnayo Karnikaram, in his ears he has a Karnika flower. This is this very nice bluish flower that you can search for. It's a very beautiful flower. Bhibrad Vasham Kanaka Kapisham, that he has his wonderful dhoti, and this dhoti is very bright effulgent yellow in color. And Vaijayantim Chamalam, he has a long garland like how Kalachandji has, the very long garland, Vaijayanti. But Vaijayanti is a specific type of garland that is made up of 5 different flowers. Vaijayantim Chamalam. Randran Venu Radhara Sudaya, that he is placing his beautiful lips on and playing this lotus, playing the flute, Purayan Gopravinde. Like that he enters Vrindavan with all his friends and Gopas. Vrindaranyam Swapada Ramanam Pravishad Gita Kirti. Like that he is pleasing everybody. And the Gopas are singing his glories when they are entering Vrindavan like this. This is just a snapshot of how Krishna is going to the forest. So Shukdev Goswami is completely satisfied. He was in the Brahman realization. Nothing was affecting him. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, Nashauchati, Nakankshati. Nothing. No suffering, no happiness. He was in this incredible state, Zen-like state that the people call now. And yet, when he heard this description of Krishna, something extraordinary happened to him. And then there was another verse that was recited. Aho bhakiyam stanakala kutam jigam sayapaye dapyasadvi lebhe gatim datruchitam tatonyam kamva dayalum sharanam vrajema. So first verse described this incredible beauty of Krishna. Like what Prabhupada is saying, we can come, take darshan of Krishna. And of course there is a science to it, right? Prabhupada says, we take darshan starting from the lotus feet all the way to his lotus face. And then this incredible quality of Krishna is described. Krishna has unlimited qualities, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the crown jewel of all the qualities that Krishna has is his mercy. And this mercy is most drastically demonstrated when Krishna actually liberated Putana. Aho Baki Yam Stanakala Kutam. Baki is the sister of Baka. This was Putana. Stanakala Kutam. In her breast she was applying poison to kill Krishna. Aho Baki Yam Jiham se yapai yadapya sadvi. That lebhe gatim datruchitam tatonyam. That such a person who was coming to kill Krishna got such an exalted position where she was able to render personal service, exactly the same thing that she was trying to do, but in a better way. She couldn't kill him in Goloka, but she was able to feed him every day in Vrindavan. Kamva Dayalam. Who else can be more merciful than this? And he says, who else can be the shelter? Who else can be my shelter? Nobody else can be my shelter than this person who is so merciful. Kamva Dayalam Sharanam Vrajema. Who else can I take the shelter of? So this is Krishna. Even for Brahmavadis, that doesn't really give us any satisfaction. It's just like we've been dunked in an ocean again and again and catching our breath. This is the material world, and somehow we come to the ocean shore and take a breath. Gives us incredible satisfaction, right? I'm not really gasping for my breath and other things. But then after some time, I regain my breath back, and then what? It's not an a sustainable position. So then we have Krishna. Right? This is why they don't want liberation. Iti drikshva leelabhir ananda kunde. Satyavrata Muni says, right? This is what Krishna is doing. That he is constantly putting his associates in ananda kunda, in an ocean of bliss. And why will they look after liberation? Any kind of liberation for that matter, right? They don't even want the Vaikuntha liberation. Leave alone the Brahman liberation. Not even the Vaikuntha planets, not even the Paramatma. We don't want any of this because they've tasted something that's extraordinary. That's why. That's the difference. That's what happened to these two devotees. Yeah. Yes, Rasraj Prabhu.